Hello, my beautiful piano teaching friends. I'm Connie from the Music Mentory, and I've got a question for you. Have you ever looked at your teaching schedule and realized my studio has just kind of built itself over the years? It's just kind of evolved, maybe without your permission. You've got a mix of private, and then maybe you've tried a few group lessons. If you're like me during COVID, you tried online lessons. Maybe you still offer that as makeups. Maybe some people prefer that, but you're kind of maybe a little scattered. Well, today we're going to take that scattered structure and turn it into something very clear and confident and consistent. By the end, you'll know not only what kind of studio you're running, but you'll know how to communicate so that families understand and trust you. All right, why does clarity really matter? Your studio model is going to determine everything. It determines your schedule, it determines your pricing, and it even determines your marketing. Without clarity, you can get overbooked, you can undercharge, you can attract the wrong students, and that is never good. But with clarity, every decision becomes more clear because it's all through this one filter of your studio model. Okay, let's talk about some different studio models. There's private lessons, group lessons, and a hybrid of both. Let's talk about those, the strengths of those. The strength of private lessons. It's a standard. Everyone knows that, everyone's familiar with that. I was taught private lessons, and I taught probably for my first 30 years of teaching. I've been teaching for almost 45 years now. But I taught private lessons because that's all I knew. But there's strength in that too, because you get to know each student individually. You can personalize the music they're learning, you can personalize their speed, how fast they're going. You can go a lot deeper with one student, and you have a lot more flexibility with all the things, with music, with their time, things like that. Okay, the strength of group. It's a collaboration. It has a lot more energy. It's very flexible for the teacher because you prepare one thing and it's able to be taught to many students. They also create kind of a peer pressure sometimes amongst themselves to be most prepared or at least not be the one that isn't prepared. Then there's the hybrid. I teach a hybrid, and I do that because I'm trying to get the best of both worlds. Now, in anything, I do not get all from both worlds, but I do believe that I've been able to create kind of the best from both worlds. So for me, that's what works, a hybrid of the two. For now, there's ways that you deliver this, either in person or online. In person has either they come to you, you have a studio, or you go teach at a music store, or you're a hired teacher at someone else's studio, or you travel to the students' homes. So there's variations within in-person lessons or online lessons. I teach exclusively online. I made that pivot, when was it, 2020, 2019, when we were all forced to stay home. And I just recreated our teaching method, and I absolutely love it now. So I stayed online. I'm exclusively online, and I teach a combination of private and group. That's not going to be best for everyone. That's just for me. But I want to talk about the strengths of all these different formats. In person, the strength is a lot of people are familiar with that. And you can actually see the whole student. You can see their posture. You can touch their hands and control and lift their fingers. So there's more physical interaction. You can also control their environment, especially if they come to your studio, but you see everything. The strength of online is that it's so convenient. And students, some parents absolutely love it because they have so many other places they need to go, and they don't have to worry about if it's bad weather, snowstorm, they don't have to drive. It's just online. So there's drawbacks to both, but that's the strengths of both of those. Okay. Now remember, growth, because we want to grow, does not necessarily mean more students. It means the right number of students, and they're taught well. Okay, and then pricing, because if you've got the right number of students and the right pricing, you'll be able to make a good living. All right, let me just emphasize one thing. Pricing should be based on experience. And I don't mean the years of your experience. Like you don't price, I said pricing, base your pricing on I have taught for 40 years, I have a college degree. That's your experience. It's based on the experience you're providing for the student. Think about that for a minute. It's also not based on minutes that you spend because the minutes that they spend in my presence are worthless if I'm not a good teacher or if I'm letting them ramble on or we're off topic and talking about other things. Minutes don't matter. So a parent that is really concerned about the minutes you're spending with them don't know what else to base this on. We've got to teach them and educate them. Remember, it's the experience you're providing and not the minutes. One important thing to educate parents is to mention all that's included in their tuition. It's your prep time, it's communication, it's keeping up the website, it's keeping the Facebook group if you've got a group or a page, for them, it's writing the newsletter, it's hosting the recitals, it's getting all the students ready for the recital, it's those practice challenges that we have once a year. You could go on. And if you listed 10 or 15 things that are included in that tuition, that really makes a difference. Because if they're looking at a teacher that just offers 30-minute lessons, or you offer 30-minute lessons and their tuition includes, it's obvious which one's going to be more impressive. But once your model and your pricing are in alignment, you have to make sure that the way you communicate that is also in alignment. So let's just refine that a little bit. If you've got mismatched policies against your model, it's going to be a little confusing. For example, if you are a group teacher, that's your model, but you have makeups that are one-on-one, that's inconsistent. You're selling all these benefits of group, but then you're accommodating one-on-one. You've got to have a real strong why, or just keep everything in alignment with your model. That would be easier. Okay, also clarify your offerings. And we talked about this, making a list of everything that you offer that's included in their tuition. Some of the things that I offer is a performance class every week. I teach a combination of private and group. Well, the group is a theory class. And once a month in that class, we do a performance for each other. I also teach 1 week practice, one specific practice technique that we do during the class, and their assignment is to use that in their practicing at home. So it's like practice coaching. So there's a lot of ways that you can phrase and communicate what you actually are offering. Then communicate consistently. Once you've got the words chosen that you're going to use, oh, and here's one thing. The words that you use. Try to avoid the standard in the industry. I teach private lessons once a week, 30-minute private lessons. And if that's the extent of what you explain, that's how the parents are going to know to judge it on. And then they're going to be like, okay, what? Then I'll go with the cheapest and the one that gives them the most minutes. Because there's no difference. But communicate. Private lessons, no, what do you give them? You give them personal mentorship for long-term progress. For a group, do you teach weekly group lessons or do you teach with a collaborative learning that helps build confidence? Go over your word choices. That's what marketing is. That's sending a message. Okay, and then you've got to communicate that consistently. Use those words on your website, on your social media, in your Facebook group, in your newsletter, in your emails to your parents. Use that same verbiage. And one suggestion is to create a little model map. Here's the model for my lessons. We do these private lessons, and I'll just do that in a little triangle. Here's our private lesson once a week, and here's our group class once a week. They're not necessarily on the same day. And here's their practice. So they'll come to a private lesson and they get all their instruction of what they're supposed to practice. And then in the group class, we do the theory work. you could have, and once you've got it laid out, it just makes it so clear, clears up their any questions they would have. Be sure you spot any conflicts and reinforce your value. And remember, your value is in the outcome or the experience, it's not in your minutes. All right. So take a minute and ask yourself, does my studio feel as consistent as I want it to? And pick one area, maybe it's scheduling, maybe it's messaging, or maybe it's her policies that could use a little refining. And remember, clarity is going to lead to confidence, and confidence leads to consistency. And when your systems, your structure, and your message and your pricing all align, ah, your studio runs so much smoother. And that attracts the right kind of students to you that match you and your studio. Okay, if you like this and you want to go a little deeper, I want to invite you to join our studio coffee chats. We have a Zoom call once a week with teachers where we discuss this kind of stuff and we get ideas of what other teachers are doing, and it's really powerful and it's really fun so that we can kind of help each other and learn from all these great ideas that these teachers have. I will put that link in the description below. Also, if you'd like a free studio model quiz, that's a little quiz that you can take that helps you determine which kind of model would work the best for you. Feel free to grab that in the description below. And I would love to see you at our next coffee chat, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.